But Chris, did you see this? Motorsport.com tweeted during the race that they had an exclusive story about a new point system being considered, maybe even for starting next year, which gives points all the way down to P12. Do you see that?
So I'll admit I didn't see that tweet. I did hear David Croft reference it
Yes.
on the commentary, and
Yes.
yeah, so he should have given a bit of credit then to motorsport.com if that was the case. But
Yeah.
no, I hadn't seen it. I know it's been a discussion a few times, and this may well be one where they just talk about it again and then go and try and get some fan
Yeah.
feedback. That might be a reason why the story now comes out. You put it out there and see what the reaction is, and then when you have the discussion, you're kind of aware, will it go down well or not? But
I say
I think
yes.
there is value to it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I appreciate that we're talking about you are diluting the achievement of scoring points compared to what it used to be. I mean, F1, traditionally there was a point where top six only scored, and then it was top eight, then it was top 10. And some people are like, oh, well, yeah, now it's half the cars get a point just for showing up. But it isn't just for showing up. We've got such a competitive field all the way through it. So there's so many teams that get in and around the points and very close to it. But with the top five having a little bit of an advantage over the rest, it does feel a bit almost unfair on, as you said, this fight for sixth between Haas and RB. Quite often, they've got at least one car in the top 10 against those, they're having to take advantage of other opportunities, but they're winning a very fierce battle back there.
Yeah.
And if they don't get rewarded for a point, as Nico Rosberg, I think, said in the commentary, then fans don't quite see the value. It's saw some great racing between Magnussen and Stroll.
Yes,
yes. At that time. But if that still ends up being for 1 or 2 points, then it just seems to matter that bit more. And I think there's other sports that do that and do a better job of it. So yeah, I can see that it's got value. I'm easy either way. If it stays as it is, then great. You're saying there's a huge value on scoring a point. The single point is a big, big deal. And we should let teams celebrate when they get a 10th place or whatever. But if we want to try and make it a little bit more, I guess, rewarding for everybody and make all the racing matter up and down the field, then it's a good idea.
Yeah, and let's just look at our sport straight in the face and go, look, this domination by Verstappen is not new. We've had different eras. Mercedes have had one, Ferrari have had one, and so on and so forth. McLaren.
It gives us something to talk about.
I was about to say,
there.
it's always good. The moving target that is motorsport is always gonna, there's always one team gonna suddenly go right. It could be Brawn one year because of a double diffuser. It could be anything. But we've got to admit that is the case, and if that is the case, that's fine. But therefore, find another way of making what we do and what commentators do and what the sport needs to thrive on in a new world of social media where you want something to talk about. Because social media is only going to be negative now towards someone like Verstappen because he's doing all the winning. So you need stuff to talk about. And Joe is a good example today of something that has nothing to do with the points, but is a celebration of an achievement for being the first Chinese to bring out that crowd, and to put China on the map more so than it ever has been in motorsport. And I think, I just think that point system, it's easy to change. Who cares? Nobody's gonna, Red Bull aren't gonna be upset that somebody else is scoring the odd point here and there. What the heck?
I haven't thought this through. I literally was watching a race when this came out, but my gut
I was
reaction...
watching basketball until you turn it off.
Yeah, that's true. But yes, my gut reaction is I really like this idea. They propose all the way down to 12th place for points. So this proposed thing is the same points through 7th, and then 8th through 12th. They
Andy
scale it down to 1.
Andy P, we've renamed our Dark Horse Award to the team not in the top 5 who scores points award. I can see the point of giving more points back to P12, but I'm not sure I love it yet. But change may be needed. There you go.
There you go.
And to be fair, it's not an enormous change, is it? In the sense,
right.
as you just said,
right.
John, it's you still get 8 points for 6th, 6 points for 7th, according to this proposal that motorsport.com have run. And then instead of 8th having 4 points, you get 5. Instead of 9th getting 2 points, you get 4. So 10th getting 1 point, you get 3, and
Yep.
then 11th gets 2, and 12th gets 1. So
You know,
It's not going to
It's
change the championship
scaled well.
win.
yeah, and if you look at history, we often talk about, Villeneuve did this or Chris Amon did that, but they only had points for the top 8 back then. And you think, oh, that would have been nice that so-and-so would have got a championship point back in the day. And so maybe we should look back in history. It's always a good way of looking to the future is to see what's happened in the past. And maybe we do need to extend the points again.
I think it's
We also
absolutely worth
have-
considering. So
yeah, we also have to think attrition used to play such a big role. in
Yes.
Formula One.
yes,
So when it was just the top 6, that
Yeah.
kind of actually meant you could sometimes almost luck into it, and just finishing a race was an achievement, that sort
Mhm.
of thing. But you could get rewarded just by seeing a checkered flag. Now it's so rare. I mean, today
Thank
what do we
you.
have? 3 retirements in the end, which was a big deal.
yeah,
So it is rare that you don't have, that you have half the grid out. So you don't fear getting to a position here where, oh, there's not 12 finishes, so there's not enough points to be handed out. But similarly, I think this came up in the commentary, was that, well, let's say you have to be classified to score a point. You can't get a point if you don't finish the race. So,
Well, that's true.
even if you went further with it, but it will mean that if you do get a bit of a chaotic one and only 11 finish, well, 12th doesn't get a point
Yeah.
if they didn't see the checkered flag. You still have to be good enough to finish the race.
yeah. I completely agree with that.
I think
All
you should get points for staying up this late.
I think you should get points for being able to watch the NBC Sports Center while we're doing a radio show. All right,
There you
we're
go.
going to take another break. We'll be back after these messages.